Democrats, Republicans, the left, the right, how do they operate? Why do they operate so differently? I'm going to show you something. Look at this really briefly here. This is Joe Biden. What's he doing here? He is basically commemorating this pen. He'll end up selling it to some big donor or putting it in a museum or something like that. And what's that pen mean? Why does that pen mean so much to Joe Biden once he's done using it on a piece of paper? Well, I'll tell you why it means so much to Joe Biden. It means he's set the record for executive orders. Now, we'll get to that in just a moment. But think about this. Think about this. Democrats, Republicans, how they use their rhetoric, how they use their power. Republicans, when they take power, they brag about all the things they don't do. Which, look, in general, when you want a small government that leaves you and I alone, it's a good thing, right? Democrats, not only do they use their power when they get there, they brag about using their power. They brag about using their power, but it's more than that. It's more than that. This is about much more than these horrible executive orders, and I'll get there in a second. We get caught up a lot, and I do this too. I make this mistake too. I know what you're saying. Jesse, you never make mistakes, but I do. I make this mistake too of pointing out leftist hypocrisy as if it's going to hurt their feelings or something like that. Do you remember what Joe Biden said about executive orders during the campaign? You remember? Here's what he said.
I got to get the votes. That's why, the one thing that I have this strange notion. We are a democracy. Some of my Republican friends and some of my Democratic friends even occasionally say, well, if you can't get the votes by executive order, you're going to do something. Things you can't do by executive order unless you're a dictator. We're a democracy. We need consensus.
And today he sets the record. But that's not where I'm going with all this. Today he sets the record after having said that, and you have Republicans all over the place, pundits all over the place on the right. Look at this big hypocrite. That's not what I'm doing. That's how little they care about you and I calling them hypocrites, about you and I showing what they do, showing what they say, and comparing and contrasting the two. I mean, look, I'm about to do it right now on the fracking thing when I get there in a second, but they don't care. I mean, you should still keep showing it. I'm going to keep showing it so people know, so people realize just how insidious these people are. But they don't care. And he doesn't care on a level that allows him to set the record for executive orders and then say, look, I'm a fancy new pen. You can buy this on eBay. $10,000 goes to Joe Biden for re-election. Thank you, everybody. That's how little they care. They'll be hypocrites and rub it in my face and laugh while they do it. That's how these people think. And the problem we run into all the time, I run into it too, is because people on the right think of themselves differently, they can't get in that mindset. We have to start getting in that mindset. We do. We do. Here's what Joe Biden said about fracking.
Let me be clear, and I know this always comes up. We're not going to ban fracking. We'll protect jobs and grow jobs, including through stronger standards like controls from methane leaks and union workers willing to install the changes.
That's weird because this headline's from today. Quote, Joe Biden to ban new fracking leases on federal land despite promises not to. And look, I could spend 20 minutes now on what a hypocrite he is doing one thing and that's against what he was saying. Why bother? He doesn't care. The Democrat plan is say anything to gain power. And then once you gain power, here's really the big difference. Democrats use power. Republicans simply do not. I saw some fancy graph. Forgive me, I forget who put it up, but I saw some fancy graph about the number of executive orders of every president. And what really stuck out was, of course, Joe Biden's record number of executive orders. That's what stuck out to most people. What stuck out to me was how few the Republicans signed. I think George Bush and Donald Trump combined for one or two. Why? I don't like executive orders, but the time has come. We had better start using them. We'd better start using them for our cause to advance our football or we're toast. We're absolutely toast. Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.